All over the world there are reports and legends of lake monsters, which have fired the imagination and left us wondering if there are indeed aspects of nature which are far more elusive than the other everyday material experiences we encounter in our lives. From Loch Ness in Scotland to Lake Champlain on the US-Canadian border, as well as at dozens of other bodies of water all over the world, the mysterious leviathans of the deep swim through our imagination in tandem with legends and sightings purporting to support this particular type of folklore, that being the lake monster. Although for the most part, investigations into sightings of lake monsters has been contained within the field of cryptozoology, there are also certain aspects of this phenomena which lie beyond the pale of surviving prehistoric dinosaurs and as yet undiscovered aquatic creatures. One interesting example is that of the British occultist Aleister Crowley, who performed the magical ritual Abermelin the Mage at Boleskine House on the shores of Loch Ness, a ritual which the great priest 666 himself left unfinished, which appears to have opened the door and one he never properly closed, if we consider that the common sightings of the Loch Ness Monster increased after Crowley had departed from the location with his magical ritual left uncompleted. Likewise, the writings of American science fiction and fantasy author H.P. Lovecraft are intertwined with endless vignettes concerning the darkest waters containing the deepest secrets of the human psyche. That more often than not, the monsters below the surface and among the darkened and frigid abyss are in fact ourselves as a species looking back at ourselves. The turbulence upon the surface being something of a mirror of the repressed shadow of the human psyche which lies deep below and meanders eternally among the darkened abyss. As numerous as these aquatic monster stories are all around the world, in Ireland there is one very intriguing legend which may well open a door into how the lake monster archetype itself has a significance far beyond that of an unrecorded species or a mistaken sighting of a known animal, or even that of a convincing simulacrum among the shallow water's edge. That something very real is indeed below the surface in every aspect of the phrase. In the beautiful and windswept northwest of Ireland, where the counties of Sligo, Leitrim and Donegal meet, is a long glacial valley known as Glenade. The valley cuts across a landscape like the furrow from a giant's plough. The name Glenade itself literally translates as the jealous valley from Old Irish. Within County Leitrim itself lies Glenade Loch, and below the surface of the lake is said to be the domain of a mysterious creature known as the Undavaraku. The term Undavaraku can translate as the water dog or the monstrous king of the otters from the Old Irish tongue. The Undavaraku is commonly reported all over Ireland and is a mainstay within Irish cryptozoology and monster folklore. Although in terms of how this creature is conveyed within the folklore of County Leitrim is very much demonic in nature, something not of this reality. The name Undavaraku being merely a zoomorphic approximation of the creature's physical form, but does little to present us with a picture of the true nature of the entity. Sightings of Undavaraku have been taken very seriously around Glenade for centuries, with the earliest reports dating as far back as the 1600s and as late as the 19th century. Not far from Glenade Loch itself is a remarkable headstone which has fascinated antiquarians and cryptozoologists alike for almost 300 years. Upon the recumbent headstone, belonging to a Glenade woman named Grania, is the image of the Undavaraku. The reason for this being is that the woman interred within this grave was reported to be a victim of the demon of the Jealous Valley.
Having gone to bathe, it seems, within the water clear, and having not returned when she might her husband fraught with fear, hasting to where he might find her, when or went to his surprise, her mangled form still bleeding lay stretched before his eyes. Upon her bosom snow-white once, but now besmeared with gore, Undavaraku reposing was, his supper thing been o'er. Her bones and entrails all around tinged a reddish hue. Oh God, he cried, 'tis hard to bear, but what am I to do?
On the 24th of September 1722, a young woman was discovered on the shores of Glenade Loch by the name of Grania Nicowley. The shocking condition of her corpse left a profound impression upon the local community, to the point where the event was enshrined in a street ballad among generations of school children in the nearby village of Kinloch. According to the legend, Grania went to wash the household's laundry at the water's edge of Glenade Loch among its clear and gentle waters, when all of a sudden the Undavaraku rose to the surface and savaged her. Her husband, a local man named Tarloch McLaughlin, became concerned at her not returning from doing the laundry at her regular time, and went out to the lake to investigate her lateness in coming home. Shocked and heartbroken, he soon discovered her body half-eaten at the side of Glenade Loch, and there beside her mangled corpse was Undavaraku itself. The creature turned to look at the devastated husband. In anger and fear, Tarloch McLaughlin then withdrew his dagger and plunged it into the body of the monster. It let out a high-pitched whistle as its mysterious life force left its body. But this was not the end of the story. Upon hearing the sound of the Undavaraku's death screams, a second Undavaraku emerged from the waters of Glenade Loch and began to pursue McLaughlin across the countryside and towards the nearby mountains of Sligo. McLaughlin, on horseback, was pursued by the monster for hours until the chase finally ended when the Undavaraku caught Tarloch McLaughlin within the ancient Druid stone circular enclosure at Bawnby, near what is today Sligo town. Although the details are vague, McLaughlin's horse and the second Undavaraku met their demise within the circular enclosure and were buried there. Upon hearing this tale, it would be too easy for the modern sceptical mind to cast suspicion upon Tarloch McLaughlin as the real killer of his wife, and hence concocted the Undavaraku tale as something of an alibi. Yet this was not given any consideration by the local authorities, at the time who accepted his testimony for what it was, and certainly local folklore and the image of the monster upon the wife's grave do indeed give testimony at least to the veracity of the account being accepted by the local community. Travelling around Glenade Loch, even in the 21st century, it is easy to become lost in the legends and stories of the past. The lake is surrounded by tall mythological mountains, accessed by lonely mountain roads and tranquil fairy paths. This is a landscape of pure myth, pure magic, where the ways of the past reach back far into the deep abyss of pre-Christian Ireland. The mountains all around Glenade Loch are filled with endless ancient monuments from the Neolithic and Bronze Age. A landscape where ceremonial fires were lit, druids danced, and witches cast their spells. And all of this is trapped today within the water of this beautiful and tranquil loch. Something of a cauldron of the landscape, psychic, spiritual, mythological, and indeed that of the shadow. Perhaps the most compelling testimony to the existence of An Varacú is neither Tarlac MacLachlan's account nor the bas-relief carving upon his wife's headstone, but in fact the very nature of the landscape in which Glenade Loch is situated. A truly ancient landscape of witchcraft, druidry and fairy folklore. The location is very much within the poet W.B. Yeats' Land of Heart's Desire. This is a landscape where the veil between the world of the human shimmers iridescently between that of the domain of the fairies. Perhaps the nature of An Varacú is neither of this world or of the fairy world, but rather it swims between both as a reminder that we are never far from the world of our dreams and that of our subconscious predators.
Upon her bosom snow-white once, but now besmeared with gore, on the Varacú reposing was his suffer thing been o'er.